Howdy, folks. I'm 5 glistening golden rings, gleefully gleaming gilded glows.
I'm Amber.
And here are more golden rings for us to gleefully glow at. This is actually Amber's ring. It's an antique.
It was my maternal grandfather's wedding band.
It was, but now it's mine.
You're not eating that.
Tastes like gold. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, I am a 60-year-old female, and I just don't want my daughter, a 30-year-old female's partner, a 38-year-old male, at Christmas this year. I am a 60-year-old female, and I have 2 kids who each have partners. My son is a 28-year-old male, and he's married to my daughter-in-law, a 26-year-old female. And my daughter, she's a 30-year-old female, and she has a partner, a 38-year-old male, who I'll refer to as my son-in-law. To make things simpler, son and daughter-in-law have been together for 6 years. Daughter and son-in-law have been on and off for about 3. Last year, daughter asked if son-in-law could stay over for the holidays, about a week. I wasn't a fan of the idea. They had just been off for several months and had only just gotten back together. I'd never met him before, and personally, I just don't approve of him. But it seemed unfair to me to say no when daughter-in-law stays over almost every year, so I said yes. What a mess it turned out to be. First, I ended up paying for his plane ticket, round trip, because he was broke. His tickets cost about $250, so I personally thought this reflected poorly on a 37-year-old. When my kids are at home, my husband and I treat them all to meals and encourage them to eat out. We've never had to place limitations on them before because they've always been respectful. We have one really nice meal out, and they cook most meals at home. They eat a lot of fast casual, so no more than $15 per meal. Well, daughter and son-in-law ended up bawling out on our dime. They had multiple $100 plus meals, would go to lunch and sample the entire menu, bring home multiple servings of leftovers and never eat them, order a 3-course dinner every night, skip meals at home to try new restaurants, etc. A few days in, we pulled our daughter aside to tell her that this wasn't okay. And she said that if we stopped now, then we would come across as rude. Finally, son-in-law broke a house rule that we told them about, and he smoked weed inside of the house. We have this rule in place because daughter-in-law is extremely sensitive and hates the smell of weed. Luckily, we live in a warm, weed-friendly state, so all he had to do was step outside and smoke in our backyard. What's more, he lied to us about it, and we only found out when our son told us that daughter-in-law could smell them smoking in the adjacent room. We confronted him. He claimed that he self-medicates for PTSD. We were ecstatic that he finally left. I haven't seen him since. My daughter wants to bring him home for the holidays again this year, and I said no, and basically repeated the paragraph above as to the reason why. I never got any sort of apology or even gratitude for hosting him. He's just as broke now as he was last year, so I would be bankrolling another fun vacation for this almost 40-year-old man. She said that she wouldn't come home either. My husband and I said that was fine. Now she's claiming that we are classist because we strongly prefer our daughter-in-law, who happens to be highly educated and financially independent, over son-in-law, who didn't finish high school and doesn't have stable employment. It's true that we do prefer daughter-in-law, but not for those reasons, although stable employment would be nice. I just feel like I gave him a chance and he blew it. We could invite him back with more rules in place, but I honestly have no desire to ever see him again. I am aware that I could be burning a bridge here with my daughter, but I wanted to get the message across that we don't approve of him, and honestly, I think he's sort of a grifter, and that actions have consequences. Is there a better way to go about this? Alright folks, what do you think? What advice do we have for the OP?
I think OP put up with a lot last year, and I think that he needs very clear rules. And so I think, this situation might handle itself if he has to supply his own plane ticket. You can just say, look, we're in a pinch this year financially. We're not going to be able to afford to pay for expensive meals out or pay for his plane ticket. my guess is if there's like no like eating all the food on your dime, no plane tickets and whatnot, he may just not show up anyway.
You know, Amber, I think that's a fabulous idea. Tell them that they are going to be on a tight budget if they come up and that they have to afford their own plane tickets and blah, blah, blah. And this is probably still going to make daughter be like, oh, well, you're classist. I mean, OP should have thought about that before telling the daughter no, right? But what can you do at this point in time? I think that it's perfectly reasonable to tell them that if they come up, then there are going to be very, very strict rules, and that if they break those rules, then they're not welcome back. And if OP even wants to tolerate them, I think that OP was a saint last year for tolerating people who continually just mooched off of them the entire time with no respect and no regard for anything that they were doing.
Yeah, well, I think it's in the comments. OP mentions that she had talked about adding like more rules, and daughter's like, no, you can't add more rules. He had so much fun last year. He doesn't even know that you're upset with him. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He needs to know what he's doing is unacceptable.
I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and I think he knows it's unacceptable. I think daughter just wants a free vacation out of it, to be quite frank.
Well, she might, but like if he at 37 does not understand that eating your in-laws out of house and home is not okay, then he needs to have that spelled out to him directly.
Yeah.
And like, hey, we can't bankroll your $100+ meals like every meal.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this is not a good situation for OP. It's one of those things where it just seems like they want to take advantage, and OP does not, you don't have to tolerate that. I will say that OP, you get at least a gift this year. You probably get several gifts this year, but your son-in-law and your daughter, they get no gifts. They got all of their gifts last year. That's that. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Eat Paste says, it sounds like your daughter was really rude and awful, and her boyfriend followed her lead. It's easier to put the blame on him because you don't love him, but she is the big issue. And OP replies, I think that there is enough blame to go around. I think that both acted terribly. In the past, on visits home, my daughter never acted this way though. So I strongly suspect that he is the one who suggested eating out more, ordering more food, etc. And she just didn't stop him. And Joe Doc 2505 says, info. Were you actually going to give them money for all of this? I'm genuinely curious why you just didn't give them less or no money. And OP replies, my kids are still authorized users on one of our credit cards, and we felt that it would be too extreme to cancel that in the middle of the trip. My daughter was extremely opposed to us directly telling him that he was spending too much and abusing our generosity. Towards the end of the trip, we found more creative ways to stop them from spending as much, like setting out the previous day's reheated leftovers for them as they tried to leave for lunch, saying that we wanted to try the same restaurant as them, and then commandeering their order, claiming that we wanted to cook a really special meal for them, so it was really important that they stayed home, and then cooking a totally normal meal. Honestly, I thought that we made it pretty obvious that they were spending too much money, but I guess they never got the hint. So now he's just not invited. And if our daughter does make the trip over on her own, she won't be getting any eating out money. I think that's a good incentive. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Bringing My Daughter to My In-Laws Party? I'm a 33-year-old male, and I've been with my wife, a 33-year-old female, for 6 years and married for 3. We have a 4-year-old son together, and also have a 9-year-old daughter that I have sole custody of from a previous relationship. It was barely a relationship, honestly. Recently, my sister-in-law invited us to a restaurant for her birthday, and she told my wife to bring the family, which I took to mean my wife, me, our son, and my daughter. My in-laws have known my daughter since I've been with my wife. They've watched her grow up. I just assumed that she was part of the family now. My wife went to my sister-in-law's house, and the plan was for me to go and meet them at the restaurant with the kids a little later on. Everything was fine at the meal, but once we got home and the kids were asleep, my wife got really annoyed at me for bringing my daughter. She said that I was wrong for bringing her because she's not family and that my sister-in-law didn't want her there. I've honestly never gotten the impression that my daughter wasn't welcome at family events on my wife's side. and no one told me not to bring her. A couple of in-laws have been messaging me, calling me things for bringing my daughter. My mother-in-law told me that I was trying to force them to accept my daughter as family. All right, folks, what do you think?
And also, I think it's important to mention that OP says in the comments that this has never happened before. Like, he's been bringing his daughter to things for the past, 3 years or so, and they have never reacted like this before. So yeah, no, I don't think OP's the jerk. I think it was a perfectly reasonable assumption to assume when they said family, they meant everyone. His daughter is 9. It's not like she could even stay home by herself if she wanted to, so they would have had to like coordinate babysitting or something.
Yeah.
But that's also really cruel to like just abandon one kid at home.
Yeah, I don't know what these people are thinking here. If this was the norm, then they already set the precedent, right? And I don't understand what their deal here is. They're married. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So I don't think that OP is wrong for bringing their daughter, especially when there wasn't any kind of indication otherwise, and that this is a perfectly normal thing to happen. I'm just curious if something happened at the restaurant. I mean, was there just like, did the daughter misbehave or act out or something like that to make everyone kind of upset or angry at her?
Right, and we don't know. I don't know if there is an answer to that. And sometimes people just like they may have just been hoping that she would slowly fade into the background. I don't know. I don't know exactly what was going through their head, but it seems really strange. And I think OP, it is worth making it clear that you and your daughter are a package deal.
Yeah.
And making sure that if you're going to family events, like they need to accept that she's there too, because it's not fair to just like ditch one kid at home all the time. Be like, oh, well, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, kid, you're not family. And I mean, it is cruel. It is very cruel. I think they're just acting very ill-mannered to not want the daughter along. And I think that just seems like a really poor form on their part. And I feel bad for this kid because now, if this goes on like this, they're going to continue to probably ratchet down and be like, she's not family, don't invite her to places, blah, 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 blah. And that's just going to really be not good for her. So this may be one of those things where OP would benefit from couples counseling. Mm-hmm. And if this problem doesn't resolve itself, like if she can't step up and defend the daughter, then maybe this is a relationship deal breaker too.
It may very well be. And I wonder too if maybe the wife is just like tired of being a stepmom or something like that. Or, raising the daughter isn't as easy and she's been to her parents. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is hard. And they're just like, okay, she's not your kid anymore. Like,
yeah.
Just...
Who knows? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Oh, and OP's in-laws get 0 presents. 0. None. We're being very stingy with our presents. They're not really family, so they don't get any presents from me. Santa Brian. And Mass Debate 159 says, not the jerk. This is going to sound awful, but here it goes. Is your daughter a different race to your wife's family? I just find it weird that she's suddenly not welcome at the family events. Either way, you need to get your daughter away from these toxic people. And OP replies, yes, she is, but so am I, and they don't seem to have a problem with me. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber. She allegedly has a joke, but we all know it's just another one of Jovial Bob Stein's shenanigans.
What do you get when King Kong sneezes?
I'll tell you exactly what you get when King Kong sneezes. You get giant boogers.
You get out of the way.
Well, you get out of the way too because you're kind of gusted out of the way. I'm sure those are like hurricane force winds. And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
We just realized that this moment, and Amber's like, oh, I was supposed to be on today, wasn't I? Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. Please, have it glittery.
I mean, another way if you want to keep pesky relatives out of your house is just to fill your house with glitter. Like, there's glitter everywhere. They'll just be like scraping it off for weeks and they'll never want to come back to your house.
I think you won't want to live in your house either, so I think you're exchanging one set of problems for another set of problems. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!
Well, daughter and son-in-law ended up bailing out on our dime. Bawling out. That's not bailing out. Well, daughter-in-law and son-in-law ended up bawling. Not bailing. Well, daughter-in-law and son-in-law... Now she's not even related. Who are these people? Who are you people?
Would you like the ring, the little hobbitsies? The ring, hobbitsies? I've got the ring.
I think you're mistaken about what ring you have.
It's my precious seas. It's my precious seas. Little hobbits won't get their dirty hands on me precious seas.